नमः श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने How many are research students? You are in MPhil? PhD? Oh, that's interesting. You look like a BA first year student. And you are PhD? You are MPhil? Who else? Any other research student? You are in MPhil? You are MPhil? And all the research students had some research methodology classes, one semester, one full semester research methodology classes. Any other research student here? MPhil, PhD? MPhil. You had a research methodology course already, 6 months of research methodology course, and the remaining are in the integrated course last year. In the integrated course last 2 years should be called MA, right? So, you are all MA students. How many are MA students here? Okay. And all of you, did you hear anything like research methodology as part of your course? As part of MA course?
Here they have that one portion, research methodology. So every student who has appeared for NET exam
has heard of research methodology. And as part of research methodology, did you hear any of these things? Objectivity, subjectivity, inductive, deductive. Okay, objectivity, subjectivity, not known. Okay, don't worry about it. Don't worry. I am going to introduce you everything. But as students of research, these are pure advanced research questions, so BA students might get completely bored out of their head. So, it is better not to have them in this discussion. What is inductive? You said you know inductive. Let us start with Amit. What is inductive? No idea. Any other PhD student? Inductive.
universal statement to particular statement. It's called
Any other? Any other research student? Any MA student? Inductive, deductive, you said for your UGC JRF exam, NET exam, you have already studied research methodology. Inductive, deductive, you said you heard. Aroha, आरोहयामी. दिस तो इंडक्टिव नहीं है. Okay. Let me tell you what inductive is, what deductive is. Actually, what's your name? Arup. Arupam. Okay. Arupam is not typically Bengali. It is. It looks like Tamil. You are a Bengali, but Arupam is not literally. Okay. So Arupam or Arup. Arup is more Bengali. So Arup is also a research methodology question. You know that. Arup. Concrete, abstract. So you are abstract. Okay. So you were giving the reverse of what is inductive. You were saying from generalization to specific facts is inductive, but this is called deductive. It is just the opposite. But if we are going from facts, specific facts, and if we are collecting common features from this and then arrive at a generalization, this arriving at from specific facts to generalization is called inductive. Today you heard from me, you should never forget it. Next time when another professor comes, again aroha, avaroha. No. That is for you, as a shortcut for net exam, you kept in your mind that that way. That is why your mind is working aroha, avaroha kind of thing. Those are shortcuts. Those are just shortcuts for memory. You should not have it that way. You should feel it. You should be doing inductive in your life. Every day we do. We are doing inductive every day in our life. For example, when you see 5 Tamil people, if you see common features of all those Tamil people and arrive at a conclusion that all Tamil people look like this, you are doing inductive. Inductive. Okay. For example, you heard the name of a Tamilian. His name is Shivan. Another name is Narayanan. Another name is Subramanian. You heard many names like this. Finally, you concluded that all Tamil names have un in the end. Because you have seen some 10 names of Tamil people, at the end of each of these names there is an, you found that Tamil names end in an, right? So this is inductive conclusion. Your conclusion is inductive because you have heard many Tamil names with an. You understand? And next time you see another person, his name is some Bhavan, then you conclude that his name is his Tamil name. How did you arrive at that? You already have a generalization in your mind that unending names are Tamil names. You applied that to this case and you concluded that that is a Tamil name. This is deductive. You understand? Now tell me what is inductive, what is deductive? To reach a generalization from specific observations is called inductive. Okay. And to use that generalization to understand the new fact that you come across is called deductive. Okay? All of you are okay with this? You are with me? Okay. So what is dravya? What is guna? What is samyoga? What is samavaya? What is sankhya? You tell me. Can you bring a dravya from here? There are these things. You give me some dravya from this. Is there dravya there? Is there a jati there? Give me jati from there. Hmm? Jati cannot be given. Why? Huh? In the dravya. Where is dravya here? This is a dravya. This is another dravya. This is dravya. And from all these dravyas, you are arriving at dravyatva, jati. Right? There is a jati there. That is inductive or deductive? Inductive. So, you are looking at various dravyas, and from there is a jati, there is the common feature of all these dravyas. That commonality, the general feature, the common feature is being called as the jati. So, to arrive at jati from dravya itself is inductive or deductive? Inductive. If you find a new dravya with the same jati, then if you are able to say that that jati is there in this dravya, you are doing deductive. You are doing deductive procedure there. That jati, arriving at that jati is not any research methodology. Even a common homemaker can do this. Ghatatva jati is not arrived at only by Tarkikas, Nayayikas. Even a homemaker can say that there is ghatatva in the ghata. Right? You understand? But that inductive logic she is applying. Mrunmaya patranam, sarvesham, that mrunmayatva jati is there. Right? There is another object which is made out of clay, not only pot. It has got that mrunmayatva in it. That jati is there. She arrives at that conclusion and says, oh, this is that, this is that. Right? Even a blind man, he touches many things, and every time he learns from you that this is made of wood, this is made of wood. Then in his senses, in blindness also, he arrives at a conclusion that, okay, this is how the wood touches. The feel of the touch of wood is this. Next time he comes across another wooden object, he says, this is a wooden object. He is then applying deductive logic there. He is applying his generalization, the inductive generalization, to the case that he is able to see. He is applying deductive logic and is able to know that it is a wooden piece. You understand? So, even that blind person is using inductive and deductive logic. Inductive and deductive logic is not a part of research methodology course. It is part of human thinking. All human thinking has inductive and deductive procedures. We think that way, our mind works that way through inductive and deductive procedures, right? But in Shastra, we use these inductive procedures to arrive at some Shastric categories, like jati. If there is no Shastric category like jati, why should there be Shastra? If I know only dravyas, all these dravyas, to know that this is a spectacle, I don't need any Shastra at all. Only because I want to know the common feature between this and this, then I need Shastra. Right? So, Shastra begins when you start applying this kind of logic, inductive and deductive, just for perception. To be able to see these spectacles, I need only cognition. The process of being able to see the object is called cognition. This is a visual cognition that I am using, and there is another cognition, the hearing cognition, auditory cognition, touch cognition. So, these are indriya procedures, sense procedures. Through senses I am able to cognize these objects. That cognition itself is not any logic. I am not applying any logic there. It is just a biological, neurological, right? For that we have already methods like saying indriyas, bhutas, panchendriyas, panchabhutas. Panchabhutas have their and each bhuta has got its tanmatra, and bhuta tanmatras work with indriyas, sukshmendriyas, they work. How that interaction takes place, that procedure about which we talk in Shastras is called, we are talking of cognition procedure there. So, interaction between Sthulendriya, Sukshmendriya, Bhuta Tanmatra, Bhuta Lakshana and Bhuta, that procedure is called cognition. That is called cognition. That is called cognition. There is no inductive or deductive procedure that is involved there. After the cognition happens, after the interaction between Bhuta Tanmatra and Sukshmendriya happens, and after there is a recognition of the Dravya, then this common features being arrived at, that happens. That identifying jati from all the dravyas, that process is a Shastra process, inductive process. That is common sense also. Even a homemaker or a blind person also uses this. But in Shastra, that is done in a perfect way. So perfectly that only this many padarthas exist, not more than those can be concluded by a Nayayika. He says only this many padarthas, nothing more, nothing less. That is the perfection at which you arrive in the Shastra, right? And because you arrive at such a perfection, that is called Shastra, otherwise it is not Shastra at all. For a common homemaker or a blind person, that perfection does not exist. That is why that is not called Shastra, that is called common sense, Loka Jnana. Loka Jnana is not Shastra Jnana, Laukika Jnana is not Shastra Jnana. Shastra Jnana comes from Nirdushtata. Nirdushtata is where there is no dosha. What are the doshas? Ativyapti, avyapti, asambhava doshas. Without those doshas, if you are arriving at a conclusion, and then if you are able to be nirdishta and nirdushta both, then you are arriving at a Shastra. This Shastra procedure is already there. You know how Shastras have arrived at the number of padarthas. Vaisheshikas add more, but Vaisheshikas add more because they are taking the pure logic to the applied logic. They are applying it to specific cases. They arrive at more number of padarthas. But as a student of research, you should be able to discern from which procedure the original Nayayikas arrived at a given number of padarthas only. What is the procedure involved? What is the procedure involved? What they do is, they see this is made of glass, these glasses are also made of glass, there is anvaya between them, and this is not made of glass, there is vyatireka there, right? So what they are doing is, they are seeing anvaya and vyatireka. They are using this process of anvaya vyatireka through comparison, and they are arriving at all anvaya elements are leading to a jati, right? The conclusion of a jati from the objects. So this procedure of anvaya vyatireka, again I am telling you, this is not done by only Shastrajñas. This is done by a common man also. This is done by even a blind person. He is using the same logic. In Shastra, that is done to perfection, Nirdushta and Nirdishta procedure. But otherwise also, Anvaya Vyatireka is being done by everyone. You understand? And when we see this object, for example, to be able to compare this with this glass, what I am doing is I am separating this glass part of the spectacle from the remaining part of the object. That is called apodhara. Apa uddhara. Uddhara is to lift. Okay. Apa means to separate. I am separating the glass part of this object to be able to do anvaya with this. Okay. So, for my anvaya or vyatireka, first of all I should do apauddhara from the existing objects, apodhara. You understand what is meant by apodhara? So, this apodhara also people are doing already, all human beings are doing, this is common sense only. But in Shastra, we do it for perfection. We do it for nirdishtata and nirdushtata. Otherwise, it is part of our common perception of the world, common observations also. Apodhara exists, anvaya exists, vyatireka exists, all these procedures exist. In Western research methodology, they teach you inductive and deductive as two different procedures of logic, but in a research methodology class of any university, they do not tell you apodhara, they do not tell you anvaya, they do not tell you vyatireka. These words themselves are not there, these concepts themselves are not there. Whereas in a traditional Shastra class, if that Shastra class is actually teaching you the way Shastra arrives at the given number of padarthas, it has to teach you apodhara, anvaya, vyatireka, and then sadharanikarana that comes from there, and the identification of jati from the dravyas. Actually in Vakyapadiyam what they do is, jati is given even for kriyas, not only for dravya. There is a jati of the kriyas also. Dhatu vyaparas also have a jati. A certain number of vyaparas of dhatus have a common feature. So, that common feature of the actions, vyaparas, it has got a jati also. For that matter, Kaundabhatta and Nagesha, they talk of jati within phala also. There are even phalas of dhatvartha phala, dhatvartha vyapara. Dhatvartha vyapara, dhatvartha phala also can be analyzed in such a way that you arrive at some common features among various dhatvartha vyaparas. A certain portion of a vyapara, dhatvartha vyapara, can be part of other dhatvartha vyaparas also. For example, flapping the wings of a bird. Okay, flapping can happen to all the birds, but some birds, like for example, if it is a hen, it flaps but it cannot fly high, right. So, the flapping vyapara is part of its activity, but flying in the sky is not part of its activity, right. And flying in the sky, is it phala of flapping vyapara, or is it vyapara itself, is a different discussion. But if you go into all the vyapara analysis, dhatvartha vyapara analysis, you can arrive at a jati from that also. That kind of analysis is done in Vakyapadiyam for jati analysis. They do not stop it at dravya itself, just dravya itself. But in Western research methodology classes, they do not tell you about these kinds of things. Where do they use inductive then? Where do they use deductive then? What they do is, they teach you inductive by, for example, talking about the statistical procedures that are used in, say, sociology. What do you do in a survey method, for example? What they do is survey. And in survey method, you go from person to person, you take a sample from a given number of corpus, you choose a specific sample, and then you go to each person within the sample, and you collect data, you arrive at some conclusion using a statistical procedure of, say, for example, averages, mean, median, mode, kind of average procedures are done. So, that conclusion that is being drawn from the data collected from specific individuals, that is being called as inductive there. You understand? That is being called as inductive procedure. Sociology, for example, is considered to be an inductive discipline. The very discipline sociology is considered to be inductive because there in sociology you don't have any preconceived theory that like Marxism or any such philosophy, it doesn't exist. Most of the conclusions that you find in a particular aspect of sociology like family, kinship, marriage or whatever, they are conclusions arrived at from observations of the actual data. So, they tell you that my discipline, my subject sociology is a discipline which is conclusions from the actual data. That is how it has come. So, it is an inductive discipline. When you go and say I am an Ayayika, then I know Jati, I am applying that Jati here and I am able to see the avachedakatva of that Jati in this Dravya, then they say you are deductive because you already have the Nyaya Shastra in your mind, Nyaya Darshana in your mind, you are applying that here. That is the faulty understanding they are having. You are not doing that, you are not deductive there. Because your concept of Jati is not a theory, your concept of Jati is a procedure. Okay. So, you do not have a theory like Marxism that you are applying to this case. What you are doing is, you are using the procedure of identifying Jati from a Dravya, which is a general procedure. We were discussing that even common man has it. Even homemaker has it, even a blind person has it. That is what we are doing. Even a sociologist does that, even an anthropologist does that. Anyone is able to see some common features from some object. So, that method only we are applying when we are saying that there is this Jati and for Navya Nyaya we are putting avachinna, avachedakatvas and make a long statement of this. There also we are not using any preconceived theory, we do not have any theory there. There is no conclusion which has been already arrived at and we are applying that to this case. No, we are not doing that. That is not deductive. It becomes deductive say for example, Karl Marx observes several kings and he sees that these kings have exploited, they have oppressed the people, common people, and he arrives at a conclusion that kings are bad. Kings are exploitative, they suppress people, they oppress people, they make people suffer. So, his observations that many kings have made people suffer and arriving at that conclusion is inductive. What he has done is inductive there. He has arrived at a conclusion that kings are bad. That conclusion already exists. Then he goes to another king, a new king, and says he is a bad man. How did he arrive at that conclusion? Without actually knowing what he has done. He is a king. Kings have to be bad. You understand? So, kings have to be bad, that is why this man is bad. This is deductive. He is doing deductive procedure. Through deduction, he is deducing that this man is bad because he is a king, because kings have been concluded to be bad from an inductive procedure that Marx has created in his theory. That procedure is being applied there. They are concluding that kings are this person is bad, not kings are bad, this person is bad because he is a king. That is called deductive procedure. In Nyaya, are we doing something like that? Did Gautama tell us that all chairs are like this? Then we apply to this other case and say this chair is like this because Gautama told me in his Nyaya Sutras. No. Gautama did not tell us anything like that. Gautama is only giving us procedures. You understand? Gautama is not giving any conclusion about good things, bad things, exploitation, no exploitation, suppression, oppression, nothing of that sort. He is not giving any such conclusion. He is just giving us methodology. Vidhan, prakriya, prakram, पद्धति. गौतम हमको पद्धति दे रहा है, गौतम हमको कोई निर्णय नहीं दे रहा है, निश्चय नहीं दे रहा है. दुनिया ऐसा है, चीज ऐसे हैं, लोग ऐसे हैं, इस तरह के कोई निश्चय इसमें नहीं है. लोग को कैसे समझना है, दुनिया को कैसे समझना है, चीज़ों को कैसे समझना है, इस पद्धति बताया जा रहा है, परंतु उसमें कोई कंक्लूजन नहीं दिया गया है. अगर कंक्लूजन है, निश्चय है, निर्णय है, एक निश्चय को लेकर हम एक निर्दिष्ट वस्तु के बारे में, निर्दिष्ट द्रव्य के बारे में उसका एप्लीकेशन कर रहे हैं, तो उसको डिडक्टिव बोलते हैं, है ना. अगर कोई आपसे बोले कि तुम नैयायिक हो, नैयायिक पद्धति को इधर अमल कर रहे हो, इसको हम डिडक्टिव बोलते हैं, तो वो गलत है. होने दीजिए, सब ध्यान इधर होगा तब हम बात करेंगे. हो गया? कुतूहल का पूर्ति हो गया? हाँ, बैठ गए ना आचार्य जी? इधर मैं क्या बोल रहा था? गौतम ने प्रोसीजर दिया है, कंक्लूजन नहीं दिया है. न्याय एक पद्धति होता है, न्याय एक कंक्लूजन नहीं है. मार्क्सिज्म एक कंक्लूजन है. मार्क्सिज्म कंक्लूजन है. मार्क्सिज्म में कंक्लूजन्स होते हैं. लोग एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव होते हैं, क्लासेस रहते हैं, समाज में क्लासेस ही होते हैं, समाज में इतने क्लासेस ही होते हैं, 2 क्लासेस ही होते हैं, रिच या पोर, ऐसे ही होता है. ये कंक्लूजन है. न्याय दर्शन ऐसा नहीं है. न्याय दर्शन में सिर्फ प्रोसीजर दिया गया है, उसके पीछे भी प्रोसीजर है. न्याय में जो प्रोसीजर्स दिए गए हैं, उन प्रोसीजर्स के पीछे भी प्रोसीजर्स हैं. उस प्रोसीजर में इंडक्टिव है, अन्वय, व्यतिरेक, अपोद्धार. फ्रॉम अपोद्धार पदार्थास आर बीइंग separated, dravyas are being separated from the world, from the collective, from samuha. Pruthakarana of ekadesha is happening. No, apoddhara. Apoddhara is pruthakarana of ekadesha from samudaya. Right? From this pruthakarana of ekadesha from samudaya first takes place, then each of these ekadeshas is being put together, and then anvaya or vyatireka is being done. Through anvaya and vyatireka from dravyas, jati is being arrived at. Right? That is inductive. Arriving at jati from the dravyas is inductive. That is one of the inductive methods. It is not the only case of inductive, but that's an example for inductive. And to be able to identify another dravya to be having the same jati is deductive. We are applying that understanding of the jati to the new case, new vastu. Then we are using deductive procedure. You are able to follow? Okay. So, now you had a feeling that inductive deductive is a Western method. Inductive deductive comes only from Western research methodology, modern research methodology. संस्कृत में तो इंडक्टिव नहीं होता, डिडक्टिव नहीं होता, ये सब तो संस्कृत में नहीं होता है. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव तो यूजीसी नेट एग्जाम में ही होता है. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव तो न्याय दर्शन में नहीं होता है. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव तो व्याकरण में नहीं होता है, मीमांसा में नहीं होता है. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव किधर रहता है? एक बुक में रहता है, एक गाइड में रहता है. कौन सा गाइड में? यूजीसी नेट का जो हैंडबुक है उसमें ही रहता है इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव. इसको भूल जाना. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव किधर रहता है बताइए? अभी हमारे ब्रेन में रहता है, बुद्धि में रहता है. बुद्धि के काम करने की तरीका में ही इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव है. सब मानव इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव तर्क का पद्धति का अमल कर रहे हैं, इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, उपयोग कर रहे हैं. उसको हम शास्त्र में शास्त्रीय पद्धति में कहते हैं. करने से एक निर्दिष्ट और निर्दुष्ट विधान, पदार्थों का विभाग, पदार्थों का अंतिम निर्णय न्याय में किया गया है. वह निर्दिष्ट और निर्दुष्ट भी है. इतने ही पदार्थ हो सकते हैं, ऐसा एक निर्णय हो गया है शास्त्र में. वह तो लोक में नहीं होता. लोक में भी अपोद्धार होता है, अन्वय होता है, व्यतिरेक होता है, उसमें से जाति का निर्णय होता है, ये सब होता है. मगर पदार्थों का निर्दिष्ट और निर्दुष्ट निर्णय शास्त्र में ही होता है. वह भी पद्धति है, वह निर्णय नहीं है. उस निर्णय को लेकर के हम एक पुराकृत निर्णय से लोक की अवगाहना हम अच्छी या बुरी बोलकर हम नहीं करते हैं, है ना. एनालाइजिंग द वर्ल्ड यूजिंग मार्क्सिज्म इज डिडक्टिव. Why? Marxism is a conclusion. It has already said this is how the world works. This is how the world works is the conclusion. Marxism has already given that conclusion. Then you are applying that to the specific cases that you are observing. Then you are arriving at these conclusions. For example, you observed that elephant has 4 legs. You observed another animal with 4 legs and you concluded that animal to be elephant. एक काउ भी एलिफेंट हो सकता है अगर हम बोले कि all 4 legged are elephants. So then you are able to see that there is a ativyapti dosha in this. Right? So using this ativyapti dushta nirnay, you are concluding that cow is also an elephant. So that we want to avoid that. Then what we do is we go to the specific feature of elephant which no other animal has got. Then only we can give a very clear conclusion about elephant. Right? But in applications like that of Marxism, what happens is we do not realize that we are doing the same syllogism. This is called syllogism. We are actually resorting to syllogism by saying that I saw a king, he was exploiting. I saw another king, he was exploiting. I saw third king, he was exploiting. Now I conclude that kings are exploitative. Now I found the 4th king, he must be exploitative. He must be exploitative because I found 3 kings and they were exploitative. So my conclusion is that kings are by definition exploitative. So now my conclusion is that kings are exploitative. It is like elephant has 4 legs. Cow also has got 4 legs. So, table is a cow. Table has 4 legs. So, table is also a cow. You understand? This is wrong application of deductive logic. Deduction itself is wrong. Your deduction that elephants have 4 legs is a wrong deduction from induction, and from that wrong induction you are going to the deduction that table is also an elephant. That is deduction. Table is an elephant is deduction. Elephants have 4 legs is an induction. Right? Elephant has 4 legs is a dushta induction. That is dushta jati nirnaya. Jati nirnaya itself was dushta. What is the dosha there? Ativyapti dosha is there in that. So, you took that ativyapti dushta nirnaya of jati and you applied it to the specific dravya called table, and you concluded that to be an elephant. Hasti iti nishchay. Right? So, that is wrong. So, this is what is called as inductive and deductive. This we are anyway doing, that is there in the Shastra. So, that procedure that is given in the Shastra can be applied to any other case. For example, the methodology that is given by Nyaya can be taken to a sociological case or a literary case, some kavya. While understanding some kavya also, we can take the procedures given by Nyaya. So, application of Nyaya to kavya, application of Nyaya to samaja, application of Nyaya to the understanding of any Rajarika Vyavastha, this is not deduction. This is only application of procedures. Your avadhana is very problematic. You have such a kutuhala. Everyone enters. What is happening? Nothing will happen. No terrorist is going to enter this room. Why do you worry? Or no monkey is also going to enter. Okay. If you are worried about monkeys entering the room, already monkeys have entered. Okay. Monkeys cannot be curious about other monkeys. If they are not monkeys, we are also not monkeys. So, there is no need for curiosity. Anyway, there is no need for curiosity. That is Shastra. That is how Shastra concludes, right? Okay. So, now do you understand that inductive, deductive exists in Shastra also? You understand? Okay. Then in Vyakarana what happens? What does Vyakarana do? For example, Panini. How did Panini arrive at his sutras? How did Panini arrive at his sutras? Maheshwara did dum 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 dum, and Maheshwara sutras have come, and from the sutras all the Panini sutras have come, right? No? Then what did he do? He observed prayogas. That is what we say, prayoga sharanaha vayyakaranaha. Right? What is prayoga sharana means? They observe prayogas in the loka. Panini also did the same thing. Panini was observing the prayogas, and from all the prayogas he arrived at the conclusion. At the time of observing prayogas, he did the same. From the vakyas that he studied, he did apodhara and identified padas, and from padas he did the apodhara of prakriti and pratyaya, and then from the prakriti and pratyaya both, he did the apodhara of varnas, and from the varnas he saw the jati of the varnas, and from the jati of the varnas he arrived at the Maheshwara Sutras. Maheshwara Sutras need not necessarily be dum dum dum. But that dum 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 is a different thing. That is a metaphorical, lakshanika way of saying how he arrived at the conclusion. Okay? So, the Ayvundruluk is a conclusion arrived through inductive procedure of observing Vakyas only. Vakyas that are there both in Chandas and Loka. You agree? All of you agree or you differ? Or you want to tell me that, sir, no, Maheshwara Sutras come from dum 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 only? No. So, Panini was also resorting inductive method only. Panini's method is also inductive only. He was coming from observations to generalizations. Okay? Sutras of Ashtadhyayi are generalizations coming from observations. So, from observation to the generalization, procedure followed is called inductive method. You accept? And not all the sutras of Ashtadhyayi are generalizations. Actually, what happens in any sutra grantha, whether it is Brahma Sutras or Jaimini Sutras or any sutra grantha, some generalized statements are made, and from within the generalized statements, parts are cut. Some common portions of these statements are made into one sutra. That becomes the Adhikara Sutra. From the Adhikara Sutra, it can get connected to many other sutras. Right? It can be half of a sentence also. Even half of a sentence can become a sutra. So, in Ashtadhyayi, you have half of sentences, and when you join these half of the sentences, you get a full sentence sutra. Right? And to make those sentences, you have the procedure, Ashtadhyayi procedure of rule order. You apply the rules in a certain way, you connect them in a certain way. How to connect also, procedure is already given for Ashtadhyayi. But the conclusions that were made by Panini were originally in full sentence form only. Later, he cuts it into small pieces and makes them one Adhikara Sutra to which you have to connect all other sutras. You understand? So, that is what he does, Panini does through his inductive observations. Okay. There is another word that we use in research methodology, descriptive and prescriptive. These a pair of words that are used in your classes, research methodology classes. Is this book a descriptive book or is this book a prescriptive book? What do we mean by that? What do we mean by descriptive and prescriptive? Prescriptive means the book tells you to do this and you do it, because the book asks you to do it. Prescription, डॉक्टर प्रिस्क्रिप्शन देता है ना, इस औषध का उपयोग करना है, इस औषध का उपयोग करो, विधि, विधि is there in that, right? इस प्रिस्क्रिप्शन का मतलब है विधि, इसका उपयोग करो. So, if you say that Ashtadhyayi is a prescriptive book, it means that you are saying that Ashtadhyayi is asking you to speak only in that way, in that particular way. Is it descriptive or is it prescriptive? We have both ways of looking at Ashtadhyayi. Rakshohagama lagbha sandehah prayojanam. In that, if you say Raksha, in Raksha there is description. But if it has to be used for Uha, then it is prescription only. Right? In Uha, we are taking it as prescription. We are looking at it as Anushasana. What is Anushasana? Prescription only. But we don't look at Anushasana as a command, as a Rajagnya. We take it as Upadesha. Anushasana is just Upadesha, it's an advice. But anyway, whether it is advice, Upadesha or Rajagnya, it is prescriptive only. It is asking you to do it in a certain way. So, Ashtadhyayi is being taken as both descriptive and prescriptive. But when we say it is inductive, it is actually description only. Then how did a description turn into prescription? For example, I want to write a grammar of English language. How do I arrive at that English grammar? I observe the speech of the English speaking people, I document it, and I say this is how an English speaker speaks, right? But you take that English grammar as prescriptive because that's not your mother tongue. You are not an English speaker. If an English speaker looks at that English grammar, he just checks whether that is the way he is speaking or not. Sometimes he may disagree also. This grammar book is wrong. It is not saying the truth about my speech. I don't speak it that way. He has that authority also to say that this is not the way I speak. This grammar book is giving some wrong statement about my speech, because that is his mother tongue. Okay. For others, it becomes prescription. For us, it is prescription because we do not know. But by following the prescription of the English grammar book, what we are doing is we are trying to be the way English speaker speaks. For us, the pramana is the speech of the English speaker. The authority is the speech of the English speaker. Which English speaker? Any English speaker. Even a 5-year-old child who speaks English as a mother tongue in England or Australia or America, that is our authority. That is what the grammar book is telling you. The grammar book is telling you that this is the way an English speaker speaks, the language. So, what Ashtadhyayi is doing is also the same. Why are we taking Ashtadhyayi pramana is because that language which is being described by the book, it is describing only. It is describing the speech of the Shishtas. We use the word Shishtas. Shishtas are speaking that language. What Panini did is, he observed the speech of the Shishtas and documented it through inductive procedure. He described it in the form of sutras, generalizations. From the description, because we want to follow the Shishtas, we are taking it as prescriptive. You understand? So tell me, repeat whatever I have said. Did Panini use inductive method or deductive method? Inductive method. Through inductive method, he arrived at descriptive or prescriptive approach? Descriptive approach. Who is taking it as prescription? We are taking it as prescription. Why are we taking it as prescription? Because we want to follow the Shishtas. Whom is he describing through inductive method? He is describing the Shishtas through his inductive method. Okay. While creating those inductive sutras, he was using apodhara, anvaya vyatireka, jati, all these procedures he was employing at the time of his observations of the language. And in that observation, he has employed apodhara from vakya into padas, from padas into prakritis, prakritis and pratyayas. Not when we say prakriti pratyaya, we actually in pratyaya through a lakshanika way we include nipatas and upasargas also. All the smaller parts of padas are included in upasarga in pratyaya. Okay, prakriti pratyaya when we say. So that whole vibhaga, what is vyakarana? Vyakarana vyakriyante vivichya pradarsyante anena shabdaha iti vyakarana. Vivichya pradarshana. Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga is being done there. So, for that procedure of Prakriti Pratyaya Vibhaga, inductive procedure, Anvaya Vyatireka, Apodhara have all been employed by Panini. You all agree with me in that? Panini was doing observation. Panini was doing observation. From that he arrived at the conclusion called grammar book, the Ashtadhyayi grammar book. So, inductive procedure was being employed by who? Panini. Okay. Then, what speakers do, what Sanskrit users do is, they keep Ashtadhyayi aside and then they go to Kavyas, see all the prayogas of the Kavyas. You can independent of Panini also, you can arrive at conclusions of which is the right prayoga, which is the wrong prayoga also from your own observations of the Kavyas, from your own observations of Chandas, that is Vedas, from your own observation of Shastra Granthas, wherever Sanskrit has been used, you can from your own observations arrive at the conclusion of which is the sadhu prayoga, which is an asadhu prayoga. You can always arrive at your own conclusion also. You have the ability to arrive at that conclusion. But we just take the help of Panini's Ashtadhyayi, because there is an idiom that is used in English called reinventing the wheel. Reinventing the wheel means unnecessarily following the same procedure which has already been followed by a person in giving you a tool. Already a tool has been given to you. He has followed a big procedure, a huge procedure. To arrive at the same tool, you have to all the way follow the same procedure again. That is not necessary. So, to say that there is no necessity of following the same procedure all the way again, people use the idiom reinventing the wheel. Why do we take the help of Ashtadhyayi is because we do not want to reinvent the wheel. Tell me, why do we use Ashtadhyayi? We do not want to reinvent the wheel because Panini has done the homework for us. He has already done the procedure that we want to follow to arrive at the conclusions. And the amount of procedure that he followed is mind-boggling. When we see the amount of corpus he has covered, the amount of Sanskrit corpus that he has covered, and the amount of meticulous analysis that he has employed in doing this whole procedure, then it baffles us. It makes us feel, wow, so big procedure, I don't want to follow. Reinventing the wheel in the case of a small procedure is easy, but reinventing the whole wheel of Ashtadhyayi is not a small task. When we understand how much procedure has gone into building Ashtadhyayi, then it baffles us so much that then we think, okay, no Baba, I don't want to do the whole procedure. Let him do, he has done it for me. Ashtadhyayi has come into existence, the tool is there, let me use it. That is why we use it. Otherwise, from the prayogas also, we can create our own Ashtadhyayi also. Recently, one person was telling me, I can use a computer to create an Ashtadhyayi. Actually, it would have been good if we have such a computer which can create Ashtadhyayi all by itself, but Panini was much beyond these computers. He has done such a huge and meticulous and big procedure, which it's not easy for a computer to employ that procedure and arrive at Ashtadhyayi. But it can be done. If, for example, if you can give a computer the methods of Anvaya Vyatireka, Apodhara, and identification of Jati from the Dravyas, if you can give a computer this kind of a tool and feed data into it, and if it can do all that can be done by us, even a computer can probably arrive at an Ashtadhyayi only. But what Panini has done for us itself, to imagine it is becoming difficult. If we can imagine what Panini has done, we can teach it to computer. Okay. Why would we teach it to computer if we know it? If we already know the procedure, we ourselves can apply and create another Ashtadhyayi. Why would we teach it to a computer? But it becomes very interesting, because if we teach that procedure to a computer, it may arrive at similar conclusions, not about language, maybe about certain other aspects of the world. It can conclude and it can produce tools, analytical tools or usable tools, through which we can do the deduction from the already available conclusions. We can apply it to specific case and deduce facts from it. But we are not resorting to it. But the point that we should learn is that inductive procedures have been employed already by people like Panini, with regard to a case called Sanskrit language. He was doing description. Then why do they say Panini did tapas and Maheshwara appeared in front of him, and entire Ashtadhyayi grammar came from that? If this is so simple, logical, rational, there is nothing like tapas in this. Why do we say he has done tapas? Tapas means dedication. Tapas means not getting diverted when everyone opens the door. Tapas means sitting just like this, to be attentively watching only the teacher when he is teaching. That is tapas. Are you doing tapas? This is not tapas. And when you are a PhD student, when you are an MPhil student, it is called tapas if you are going mad after your topic. Are you going mad after your topic? Are you eating your topic? Are you drinking your topic? Are you sleeping your topic? Are you doing everything with your topic while bathing, while doing every activity in your life? Are you thinking of only your research topic madly? If you are doing that, that is called tapas. Tap is to burn, right? Burning. If you are burning with that inquiry, with that question, that is called tapas. How many of your chemistry students, how many of you know benzene? How many of you know the benzene structure? Do you know? There is, I will tell you. In chemistry, what they do is, any compound has elements in it. For example, benzene has two compounds in it, carbon and hydrogen. Okay. What is the ratio of carbon and hydrogen in it in terms of actual atoms? That is given in the form of a formula, chemical formula. That is, this conclusion that there are 6 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogen atoms is arrived at using gravimetric methods, volumetric methods, that is measuring the proportions in terms of weight, measuring the proportions in terms of volume, all these things. Finally, they use the methods of equivalent weights and all that, and finally conclude that this much of units of carbon, units for each element are different. Units of each element are called atoms. Okay. So, this many units of that element, this many units of this element are there. That is how they conclude, and they say C6 and H6 is the combination. And inside the compound, how these atoms of carbon and hydrogen get combined. I have C's, 6 of these C's, and how are they linking to each other? There is a method, there is a concept called bond. Atoms have got bond, that is called chemical bond, and there are different procedures of this bonding, chemical bonding. This is the bonding in this case, this kind of cases is called covalent bond, which is different from ionic bond which takes place in sodium chloride and such compounds. So, this covalent bond can be single bond or double bond, etc., depending on the kind of reactions that it is participating in. And here all the chemists before Kekule, who gave the structure of benzene, they arrived at the conclusion that these double bonds in C6 are in alternative positions and single bonds are in alternate. Single and double bonds are located in alternative positions. With that, they were able to explain some reactions in which benzene is participating. These are the reactions. These are being explained by these double bonds in alternative positions. Single bonds in alternative positions was given. But certain reactions were not able to be explained. Then this Kekule was burning with that question. How is this possible? How is this possible? I am not able to explain these reactions in terms of this structure, the structure that is given, the line structure that is given. Every day he was burning with the same question. He was washing his hands outside the table. Water was falling down. He was, I have seen these research students in my university, chemistry, physics research students. They in the hostel, in the mess, they eat and they think they are washing their hands at the wash basin, but they wash hands somewhere else. This happens because they are burning. Burning with what? The research that they are doing in the laboratory. I see mathematics students in my campus, they write in the air while walking. They go on writing. What are they doing? Tapas. Many of the mathematics research students there have their eyes there. They don't see at you. They don't look at you. They always look into the air. If you call Srinivasa Rao, who is this? Like a madman. Because they are doing tapas. They are burning. They are burning with the inquiry. Kekule was like that. Kekule was burning with this question. And one night he had a dream. In that dream, he saw a snake biting its own tail. Snake biting its own tail with its mouth. He saw. And in the morning he wakes up and says, what is this snake? Why is it biting its own tail? Wow! Oh, I got the answer. This sea is connected to this sea. This is the snake. This is not the chain. It got connected like this. He gave the procedure. With that, he was able to explain all the other reactions which were not explained earlier. That paper was published. And everyone started saying, wow, for the first time some ring structure. This is called ring structure. Ring structure of benzene has been given. And people say that was a miracle. Some intuition, some spiritual thing has happened to him. No. Actually, what happened to him was his own inner burning resulted in that dream. Right? Symbolically, his own mind was communicating with him. His own heart was communicating with him. His own heart was giving that answer. But he could decode it. Yeah, now I understand, he got it. When that happens to a PhD student, when that happens to an MPhil student, there is no bigger kick than that. No drug, no alcohol, nothing can give that kick. Wow. Flash! Such a big flash in the mind. The day you get tears in your ears and you go mad, you start jumping, you start dancing, you want to publish that immediately. Right? Why do people do MPhil? For this kick. Why do people do PhD? For this kick that you get. For this trance. Out of tapas. It comes out. In psychology, they deal with this kind of phenomena, what happens to people. they handle this in psychology under a topic called problem solving. What is problem? This intriguing question that I was telling you, the intriguing question that is called research problem is that problem, and you are trying to solve it. For example, I am not able to explain the existing chemical reactions using straight chain structure of benzene is the problem. To solve that, you keep thinking that problem solving is happening, and when we keep it in our mind, though actually we are not thinking of it apparently, consciously we are not thinking of that, we are doing eating, drinking, bathing, everything. Whatever is happening in your mind without your knowledge is called incubation. What is it called? Incubation. What is incubation? If a caterpillar, before becoming a butterfly, it is in its pupa stage. That is incubation. Babies are kept in a womb-like structure. They are kept in incubation tubes. You know that? When babies are born, they are born earlier than they are expected. Babies are kept in incubation tubes. So, we have kept our ideas, thoughts in incubation here. It is burning in itself. On some corner of your mind, processing is happening. But at some time, some magic happens and an answer is got, that is called flash. This flash that occurs in your mind is recognized by psychologists, a school of psychologists called Gestalt School of Psychologists. G-E-S-T-A-L-T, Gestalt. Gestalt School of Psychologists have theorized that problem solving involves incubation of the problem, incubation of the thought process, and through the incubation of the thought process, at some stage problem gets solved in you, solution comes, that solution comes just in a moment, flash. It comes as a flash to you. That moment of flash is an ecstatic thing, that gives maximum happiness, ananda comes to you. So that observation has been done by Gestalt psychologists. When that happens, we say some deva, there was a pratyakshikarana of that deva, right? So you have done tapas, and for your tapas, deva has come in front of you. For example, snake was the deva that appeared in front of Kekule. It gave him the solution. You understand? So now tell me how Panini arrived at Ashtadhyayi. He did tapas about all the prayogas. How many prayogas? Millions of Sanskrita prayogas. How many apodharas? Again, millions of apodharas. How many anvayas? Vyatirekas? How many arrivals of jati from inductive procedure? All those were burning in him. He was doing tapas. Incubation was taking place. One fine morning, he got the flash of Ashtadhyayi. The whole Ashtadhyayi appeared in front of him. Wow! I am able to see all the sutras. I am able to see all the varnas arranged in a certain order. Oh wow! He saw the whole Ashtadhyayi in front of him and started writing all that. That is called Maheshwara appearing in front of him. You understand how Panini got the pratyakshikarana of Maheshwara? Maheshwara is that. Maheshwara, who is Maheshwara? Mahadevo Vrushabho Roraviti Chatvari Shrunga Trayasya Padadve Shirshe Saptas So Asya Mahadevo Vrushabho Martyam Avivesha. That Mahadeva, that Vrushabha, it appeared in front of him. Roraviti, it saw him. Then that flash occurred, and that was the sutras. The entire sutras appeared in front of him. He concluded. So those sutras are his invention, his discovery, or is it a magic? Actually it is his invention. Actually it is his discovery only, but it was a magic also. That magic happens to every researcher. It has to happen. If you are a real researcher, that magic has to happen to you. You should burn. If I am not going to see these PhD students washing their hands outside like this, I won't believe that they are researchers. If I don't see these PhD students looking into the air like this, I don't believe that they are research students. They have to be like this. You should go mad. You said you are a PhD student, you are not going mad. I expect you to go mad. I don't expect, I order that you have to go mad. You cannot. Going mad cannot be ordered, right? Right? But it has to be there in your nature. If you are a real researcher, that has to be there in your nature. Then you burn, you do tapas for problem solving. Not only you, a manager of a company, a CEO of a company has problem solving in him. He has got lots of problems of his corporate company. He incubates that problem, and one fine morning solution arrives in his mind. Then he jumps in his own bathroom and applies it in his company. Then people say, wow, how did you get this answer? In bathroom, he says. It did not happen in bathroom. How did it happen? For several weeks it was happening. It was just an accident that it happened in a bathroom. It occurred to him in a bathroom. Maybe even to Panini it happened only in bathroom. We do not know. Those days there was no bathroom. It used to happen in agricultural fields. Maybe it happened to Panini that way. We do not know. But it happens. But it happens. There was one Professor Peter Raster from Germany, who is a great scholar in Ashtadhyayi, Vakyapadiyam and our Vyakarana Shastra. He studied most of these Shastras in Varanasi with, the Vyakyakara Ambakar Trivyakya for Vakyapadiyam, Raghunatha Sharma. He studied with him. And he became a very great scholar in Ashtadhyayi and Vakyapadiyam and all that. Now he is actually taking rest in Germany in some village. At that time he was a professor in Kiel University of Germany. He came to my town, Hyderabad, and he was giving talks on Ashtadhyayi. And then one of the audience asked him, how is it possible that a person can see Ashtadhyayi? The whole of Ashtadhyayi was seen by Panini in his tapas. How is it possible? Then Peter Raster gave an example of a music composer from his own country. His name is Mozart. Do you know Mozart? Mozart is known for his symphonies. You know symphonies? Symphonies are huge music orchestrations in a room like this, even bigger than this. Different instruments are made to be located at different places, and each instrument is expected to be played at a right time, and a huge musical composition is made to emerge from that. So that composition, symphony, this man Mozart composed 32 symphonies in a very short span of time. Usually the symphony composers take years and years to compose one single symphony. Then Mozart was interviewed about it. How do you arrive at so many symphonies, 32 symphonies at such a 2 years short span of time? How did you arrive? It seems Mozart answered that I see my symphonies. What did he say? I see my symphonies. It means that entire composition I can see at a time. What should happen at which moment of playing, which instrument has to get located where in the whole hall, everything I just see. And that comes as a flash to me. Professor Peter Raster was giving this analogy, and he was saying, just as Mozart was able to see his symphonies, Panini was able to see the whole Ashtadhyayi at a time. That seeing does not happen as a miracle, it is not just a magic. It has got a huge amount of observation. It has got a huge amount of inductive procedure. It has got a huge amount of apodhara, anvaya, vyatireka that was taking place. Do you know who told that apodhara and anvaya, vyatireka exist behind Panini's Ashtadhyayi? It is Bhartrihari in Vakyapadiyam. He says, through apodhara and anvaya, vyatireka only rishis arrive at the sutras. Apodhara padarthaye, he says. He says, apodhara padartha. It is there in Vakyapadiyam. Vakyapadiyam tells you what is the procedure behind Ashtadhyayi. It is given by Vakyapadiyam. So, Vakyapadiyam is telling you that there is an inductive procedure behind the creating Ashtadhyayi. So, in Shastras, inductive procedures are already followed, deductive procedures are already followed. What inductive procedures, what deductive procedures are followed in which Shastra, how they apply these procedures, we have to think of those procedures and we have to analyze these procedures, and should not think that this inductive deductive तो अंग्रेजियों का शब्द है, अंग्रेजियों के शब्द है. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव तो यूजीसी नेट एग्जाम में होता है. इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव यूजीसी नेट एग्जाम में नहीं होता है. किधर होता है? सब मस्तिष्कों में होता है. सब लोग इंडक्टिव डिडक्टिव थिंकिंग करते हैं. उसको शास्त्र में एक निर्दिष्ट और निर्दिष्ट पद्धति में करते हैं. और इस पद्धति शास्त्रों में व्याकरण में किस तरह किया गया है, व्याकरण न्याय में कैसे किया गया है, मीमांसा में कैसे किया गया है, इसके बारे में हम लोग सोचना पड़ेगा. सोचने से हमको लग जाता है कि एक प्रोसीजर पीछे है, प्रोसीजर से ही फ्लैश आता है, राइट. और जब फ्लैश आता है तो लोग बोलते हैं ये सब्जेक्टिव है. सब्जेक्टिव का मतलब स्वानुभव का है, ये बाहर से देखा हुआ नहीं है. ऑब्जेक्टिव इज बाहर से देखा हुआ, but there is an objective observation of usages of Sanskrit done by Panini. The process of emergence of Ashtadhyayi, the process of appearance of Ashtadhyayi as a flash appears to be subjective. Okay, you understand? Subject means स्वानुभव से आया हुआ. ये स्वानुभव से आया हुआ दिखता है, यह स्वानुभव से आया हुआ नहीं है. सिर्फ स्वानुभव से आया हुआ नहीं है. इस स्वानुभव के पीछे देखना है, परिशीलन है, ऑब्जर्वेशन है, ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑब्जर्वेशन है. सब तपस्या के पीछे यही है. सब ऋषियों के तपस्याओं के पीछे यही होता है, ऑब्जर्वेशन होता है. वे लोक का परिशीलन करते हैं, वे छंद का परिशीलन करते हैं, वे ब्रह्मांड का परिशीलन करते हैं. स्वानुभव से करते हैं, बाहर से भी. इससे एक फ्लैश निकलता है. फ्लैश को भर्तृहरि स्फोट कहता है. शब्द को देखिए, स्फोट, विस्फोट. विस्फोट में से वी को निकाल दीजिए, उपसर्ग को निकाल दीजिए, स्फोट, दैट इज स्फोट. स्फोट मीन्स विस्फोट. यू अंडरस्टैंड? स्फोट का मतलब विस्फोट. और फ्लैश, दैट इज फ्लैश. स्फोट दर्शन का मतलब क्या है? विस्फोट दर्शन. क्या विस्फोट चल रहा है? फ्लैश. फ्लैश हो रहा है. एक फ्लैश चलता है इधर, एक फ्लैश चलने के बाद ही वाक्य निकलता है, वर्णक्रम तुमसे निकलता है. और यह वर्णक्रम श्रवण पर पढ़ने पर भी अंतिम वर्ण के बाद, अंतिम वर्ण कर्णभेरी को स्पर्श करने के बाद और एक स्फोट होता है इधर, है ना, विस्फोट होता है. विस्फोट से विस्फोट, है ना. पाणिनि को क्या हुआ? विस्फोट हुआ. तुमको भी एमफिल में क्या होना पड़ता है? विस्फोट होना पड़ता है. किधर? यहां. जब विस्फोट होता है, मिलता है इतना आनंद, बड़ा आनंद को भी कोई भी नहीं होता दुनिया में ना. विस्फोट, फ्लैश से बड़ा आनंद कुछ भी नहीं होता है. रिसर्च इसलिए करते हैं, रिसर्च डिग्री के लिए नहीं करते हैं. रिसर्च एमफिल डिग्री आ जाएगा, हमको एमफिल बोलेंगे इसलिए नहीं. पीएचडी बोलेंगे, डॉक्टर सब बोलेंगे इसलिए नहीं. इसलिए रिसर्च इसलिए करते कि उसमें किक रहता है ना, एक ट्रांस, एक मजा. क्या मजा है रिसर्च करने में? बोलिए क्या मजा है रिसर्च करने में? फ्लैश, फ्लैश का मजा मिलता है, विस्फोट. इसलिए हम क्या करना है, शुरुआत इंडक्टिव से होता है, ऑब्जर्वेशन से होता है. उसमें हम अपोद्धार और अन्वय व्यतिरेक प्रोसीजर्स को अप्लाई करना पड़ता है. करने के बाद कंक्लूजन्स, सूत्र निकालना पड़ता है. सूत्र को निकालने के बाद उसका आर्ग्यूमेंट प्रेजेंटेशन करना पड़ता है रिसर्च में. आर यू ऑल विथ मी इन दैट? डू यू अग्री? सो इफ इन फ्यूचर एनीवन asks you where is inductive, where is deductive, do you do inductive, do you do deductive, you should not get confused and say that it is there only in my UGC net book. You tell me where is it? In my mind. The whole world is doing that. Shastra also does that, physics also does that, chemistry also does that, Nyaya also does that, Vyakaran also does that, Mimamsa also does that. All procedures involve inductive, deductive only. I understand what inductive, deductive is. Okay. Now let me go to the question of subjective and objective. See, there seems to be some question. कुछ बोल रहे थे इनको, ये इंडक्टिव नहीं है. कुछ बकवास करके इसको इंडक्टिव बोल रहा है ना. क्या बोल रहे थे? बोलिए साहब. कुछ नहीं बोला ना. ओके, समझ में आ गया इंडक्टिव, डिडक्टिव. ओके. And why sociology was actually expected to be inductive other than the other procedures? What is quantitative within that inductive? What is qualitative within that inductive? Did they tell you that there is quantitative and qualitative? You heard quantitative and qualitative. Okay. Before going into subjective and objective, let me dwell a little on quantitative and qualitative procedures. We were talking about statistical procedures that are employed in sociology, right? So, because you employ those statistical procedures of survey, for example, during survey you interview people, you have questionnaires, you have answers to them, and if it is a close-ended questionnaire, we use the word close-ended questionnaire, which means that for the questions already answers are listed. Answers are listed by you, the person who prepares the questionnaire, and for the answering person, survey answering person, there is no choice of giving any other answer than what is already fixed by you. Okay? Such a questionnaire is called close-ended questionnaire. What is a close-ended questionnaire? सर यूजीसी नेट के लिए पढ़ कर थक गए हैं ये सब, फिर से आप सताते हैं, बोलिए तो व्हाट इज क्लोज एंडेड क्वेश्चनर? ये ठीक से पढ़ने से यूजीसी नेट का एग्जाम भी ठीक से लिख सकते हैं, आसान से लिख सकते हैं। यूजीसी नेट एग्जाम में अगर ये क्वेश्चन मिला तो आरोहण अवरोहण आरोहण अवरोहण ये करने नहीं पड़ता है ना, ये शॉर्टकट्स का ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ता है। तो तुम समझ गए हो, इसलिए प्रोसीजर शॉर्टकट्स का ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ता है, समझ जाना चाहिए। क्वालिटेटिव क्लोज एंडेड क्वेश्चनियर मीन्स व्हाट? क्वेश्चनियर मेथड इज इंडक्टिव मेथड, दिस मच इज वेरी क्लियर। इफ देर इज एन ऑब्जेक्टिव टाइप क्वेश्चन in UGC NET exam, questionnaire method is inductive, deductive, deductive, buductive. Which is the answer? Inductive. So questionnaire method is inductive method, correct. Inside the questionnaire, two kinds of questionnaires, close-ended questionnaires and open-ended questionnaires. What is a close-ended questionnaire? The person who prepares the questionnaire, you, researcher, gives answers already to the questions, and the person who answers those questionnaires has no choice of giving his own answers. He has to check, he has to say one of those answers, he has to give only one of those answers, okay. That is close-ended questionnaire. Only because you have given a close-ended questionnaire, you have a mathematical procedure that can be applied there, because you have said that answer number A this many, answer number B this many, answer number C this many. You have a possibility of quantifying the percentage of answers to the given questions, given answers, okay. So if you are applying such methods, you are applying quantitative, that is number methods, okay. This is one simple example. There are more complex statistical procedures that are applied there. In quantitative research, there are experimental methods, there are variables, there is experimental variable and control variable. Did they tell all these things in research methodology? रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी क्लास में कभी बैठे हैं क्या? कौन बैठे हैं? बैठे नहीं हैं, तो उसमें वेरिएबल के बारे में नहीं बोलते हैं। हाँ, बैठना चाहिए। आप लोगों को रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी के प्रॉपर क्लासेस में बिठाना है, ये सब थोपना है मस्तिष्क के अंदर, नहीं तो पीएचडी बनता है। पीएचडी अगर पीएचडी एमफिल बनना चाहिए तो ये सब बोलना है। क्वांटिटेटिव मेथड्स में, क्वांटिटेटिव का मतलब क्या है? परिमाणात्मक। परिमाणात्मक विधानों में हम संख्याओं का उपयोग करते हैं, संख्याओं के गणितात्मक विश्लेषण करते हैं, विषय से संख्याओं को निकालते हैं, है ना। विषय से संख्याएं आते हैं। विषय तो जो विषय है बाहर वह गुणात्मक ही है, क्वालिटेटिव ही है। एक क्वालिटेटिव मटेरियल से हम क्वांटिटेटिव कंक्लूजन्स निकालते हैं, ये क्वांटिटेटिव मेथड बनता है ना। अगर एक मार्केट सर्वे करना है, मार्केट सर्वे में one stage is called user experience research. One product has been released into the market, they do market survey. In that they want to know the experience of the people, and then they list already some given number of questions. This TV is looking beautiful, this TV is looking ugly, this TV is neither ugly nor beautiful. Or some amount of questions are given. This TV is looking beautiful, again there is grading given. How beautiful? TV is ugly, again grading is given, numbers are given. Based on that, some feedback is arrived at, people give numbers, percentage, how many percent, how much percentage of people have agreed that it is beautiful, how much percentage of people agreed that it is looking ugly. This is a quantitative user experience research. But if I want to know what is their actual feeling other than what is listed in this close-ended questionnaire, this is not useful. For that, what they do is, they go into the houses of people who watch that TV, sit along with them, keep observing whatever they do while watching that TV, whatever they say, however they use it. For example, some of them might say, oh, this TV has no wall hook in it, I want to place it on the wall, it is not there. Earlier it was not there, right? Those tube based TVs, they did not have any wall hook in it. So they were probably saying that, and one of them said, look at this is such a huge tube, I don't want a TV, but what can I do? It is like this. That is why I have to waste so much space in my house. That was not incorporated into the questionnaire while I was preparing the questionnaire, because I did not know that such comments also can be there about a TV. Okay, open-ended questionnaire. Did you think that there is a question about space at all? You did not. That is why you did not incorporate a question about space at all. Further, what you do is, you go and sit inside the house and observe them. Whatever they are saying, you record. This is called ethnography. Yesterday I was telling you ethnography that was used by anthropology people for culture research, right? So that ethnography can be used by market survey people also, user experience survey people also. They can do about the feedback about the product, for a feedback about the product. If they are doing this, this is called qualitative research, because the numbers are not being used at all here. You understand? So ethnography is an example of a qualitative research method. नेट का क्वेश्चन है जी, लिख दो. नेट में एक मार्क मिलेगा. हो गया, मिल गया क्या? इसलिए बैठ रहे हो, नहीं मिलना था. ये जाकर सब लोगों से बोलेगा, ये सब चीज मुझे पता नहीं है, फिर भी मिल गया है, क्यों इतना कष्ट ले रहे हो? ये एथनोग्राफी कुछ मत लिखो, तुमको भी मिल जाएगा, बेफिक्र रहो, है ना? इनको पता नहीं है, यूजीसी नेट बहुत आसान है, कुछ भी मालूम होने का जरूरत ही नहीं है ना? फिर भी एटलीस्ट टू शो, किसी नए आदमी के सामने क्या है एथनोग्राफी पता है तो वो डर जाएगा ना. कम से कम डराने के लिए एथनोग्राफी बोलना है. डराओ लोगों को, बोलो एथनोग्राफी, समझे या ना समझे बोल दो एथनोग्राफी के बाद क्या बोलना? एक क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च है. क्या है? क्वालिटेटिव रिसर्च है. वो दूसरा शब्द भी समझता नहीं है तो डराओ लोगों को, तुम्हारा दर्जा ऊंचा हो जाएगा. अरे ये तो एथनोग्राफी जानता है, ये तो उसको क्वालिटेटिव भी बताता है. एथनोग्राफी को क्वांटिटेटिव भी बताए तो वो बुद्धू को समझ में भी नहीं आता, है ना? फिर भी कहीं ना कहीं एक आदमी जो ज्ञानी है उसको पता हो जाएगा तो एक ही दम ऊंचे दर्जे से हम पाताल में गिर जाएंगे. इसलिए हम जागरूक रहना चाहिए, इसलिए करेक्ट ज्ञान रहना चाहिए. हम फ्रेज ड्रॉपिंग बोलते हैं. फ्रेज ड्रॉपिंग का मतलब है शब्दों का ऐसे छोड़ते जाना डराने के लिए. लोगों को डराने के लिए हम क्या करते हैं, फ्रेज ड्रॉपिंग करते जाते हैं. हाँ, पोस्ट मॉडर्न, जॉकस डेरिडा, all this, but that cannot be done all the time. If there is a knowledgeable person on the other side, if you keep doing phrase dropping, if he realizes the entire image that you have built for so long would go just in a flash of a second, right? So you should know things better, at least for that, if not for anything else. Okay? समझना चाहिए. नहीं हो गया फिर भी समझना चाहिए. हीरो बनोगे या नहीं? हीरो बनोगे या नहीं? डराएगा नहीं? डराओगे या नहीं? डराना चाहिए, तो जानना चाहिए. हाँ, एथनोग्राफी क्या है? एथनोग्राफी ऑब्जर्विंग कल्चर एंड डॉक्यूमेंटिंग कल्चर इज कॉल्ड एथनोग्राफी. बिकॉज इट हैपन्स थ्रू डायरेक्ट ऑब्जर्वेशन. It is qualitative because numbers are not involved. There is no number giving or converting data into numbers. It is called qualitative. Data is purely qualitative data. Our documentation is the data. Whatever we have documented is the data. Okay? And ethnography need not necessarily be done only in the form of writing the story. We can take pictures also. We can do the video also. That is called visual ethnography. Photographic ethnography, videographic ethnography, ethnography through drawing, ethnography through writing can happen. All these together, it's ethnography. And ethnography is a methodology. Ethnography is a method. It is a qualitative method. Using that qualitative method also, you can arrive at conclusions which are useful for the seller, the product seller, not only to the product seller, to the designer also. Next time when he designs the product, then you can guide him saying that this is what they were saying about this product. You have to incorporate these features in the design of the product. So this in designing cycle of products, you can incorporate this ethnography as a method. So that method, ethnography, if it is useful for literature research or Shastra research, that can be employed here also. I will tell you how we can go about doing ethnography in our Shastras. For example, Ayurveda, we can do a lot of ethnography and help Ayurvedic research methods, Shastra research methods. So now you understand qualitative and quantitative methods. That is one example. Qualitative ethnography is an example of qualitative research methods. There is interview method also. In interview, there are group interviews, individual interviews, specific group interviews, target group interviews. There are several different kinds of interviews. These are all part of qualitative research methods. But these are all inductive methods only. Ethnography is also an inductive method only because you are arriving at conclusions from observing people. So the difference between anthropology and sociology is that sociology employs quantitative methods more than qualitative methods. In anthropology, qualitative methods are employed more than quantitative methods. Both employ both methods, but sociology emphasizes quantitative inductive procedures. Anthropology emphasizes qualitative inductive, again qualitative inductive procedures. Sociology focuses more on urban societies, that is cities, towns, पट्टणों के ऊपर, नगरों के ऊपर, शहरों के ऊपर ज़्यादा फोकस रहता है सोशियोलॉजी में. एंथ्रोपोलॉजी फोकसेस मोर ऑन फॉरेस्ट, ट्राइबल एरियाज, ट्राइबल कल्चर्स, टू सम एक्सटेंट रूरल कल्चर्स, ट्रेडिशनल कल्चर्स. There is no hard and fast rule that anthropologists should not work on towns and cities, sociologists should not work on forest areas and rural areas, but more or less, generally, sociologists focus on urban societies, anthropologists focus on tribal and rural societies. So, methodologically, qualitative and quantitative difference is there. Focus wise, urban and rural difference is there between sociology and anthropology. Both use inductive procedures only, but the discipline which is caught in the subjectivity issue is psychology. In psychology, when you arrive at conclusions, the history of psychology has been in the modern period, it evolved from biology basically. Because it evolved from biology, they were resorting to the same kind of experimentation methods that biology was resorting to. But from the time of Freud onwards and psychoanalysis and other procedures, people started depending on subjective conclusions. Subjective means our own personal experiences. Okay, let me give a few statements and you decide whether that statement is a subjective statement or objective statement. Okay. This boy is 6 feet tall because that can be measured, and for everyone it is 6 feet only. Not only for you, for everyone that observes, it is 6 feet only, right? And this person is a male. Huh? Objective. This person is a male is measurable or not measurable? Measurable or not measurable? Measurable and non-measurable, two choices. How much male, how much female? Is there a question like that? This person is 6 feet tall. Is it measurable or not measurable? So, among objective observations, there are measurable observations, non-measurable observations also. This person is a male is a non-measurable objective observation. This person is 6 feet tall or this much tall. This person is tall, is measurable. This person is tall itself is a measurable thing. You can say how much tall. This person is obese. That is thul. Hey. Objective measurable because you can say how much, how heavy he is. You can give it in the form of weight. Right? This person is beautiful. Objective or subjective? Objective. How many objective? Only one objective. How is it objective, you tell me? For everyone he looks to be beautiful only? हाँ? सबके दृष्टि में तो नहीं है, इसलिए उसको क्या बोलते हैं? सब्जेक्टिव. हर एक भार्या को, हर एक पत्नी को पति हैंडसम ही लगता है, हर एक पति को पत्नी ब्यूटीफुल ही लगती है ना? दूसरे लोग बोलते हैं अरे ये क्या है, इसके पति को देखो, बहुत अगली आदमी है, बहुत विकृत आदमी है. मगर पत्नी से पूछो, हम दुनिया में देखकर आश्चर्य लगते रहता है. एक बहुत काला आदमी है, एक बहुत सफ़ेद औरत उसको पसंद करती है ना? गोरी गोरी काला आदमी, गोरी को काला आदमी पसंद आता है. हम देखकर बोलते हैं है ये तो गोरी और ऊंची भी है, ये तो काला है और शॉर्ट भी है, दोनों में प्रेम हो गया. दुनिया है, क्या बोल सकते हैं, ऐसा होता है ना? ये सब्जेक्टिव है. क्या है? Subjective. Many of such decisions which are based on the individual's choice, individual's way of looking at things. These are called subjective decisions. And शास्त्र subjective decisions के ऊपर निर्भर हो सकता है या नहीं? सब्जेक्टिव डिसीशंस के ऊपर शास्त्र निर्भर हो सकता है या नहीं? आप आधुनिक विज्ञानियों से पूछिए, वे बोलते हैं नहीं, ये सब्जेक्टिव डिसीशंस के ऊपर निर्भर नहीं हो सकता है, बिकॉज दे आर नॉट मेजरेबल, दे आर नॉट क्वांटिफाएबल, दे आर नॉट verifiable. These features have to be there. Either they have to be measurable, even if they are not measurable, at least they have to be verifiable. For everyone it has to be the same. That has to be objective. Subjective decisions के ऊपर तो शास्त्र नहीं चल सकता है. यह न्याय में भी है. न्याय में भी हम बोलते हैं पदार्थ का निर्णय सब्जेक्टिव डिसीशंस के ऊपर निर्भर नहीं हो सकता है. यह ब्यूटीफुल है, यह अगली है, ये तो न्याय में नहीं हो सकता. सुंदर या विकृत, यह न्याय में है कभी? हम बोलते हैं सुंदर और विकृत ये दोनों गुण है, मगर यह गुण वेरीफाइबल नहीं है ना? गुण तो है, ये तो गुण ही है. हम क्लासिफाई करने में, वर्गीकरण करने में हम कहते हैं ये गुण ही है, द्रव्य नहीं है ना? ऑब्जेक्टिव. और मॉडर्न साइंस को कहते हैं लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविस्ट. इसमें दो है. पॉजिटिविस्ट मीन्स प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण पर आधारित. लिख दो, लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविस्ट. लॉजिकल positivism is the word. Logical positivism, and if one is following logical positivism, it is called logical positivist. Positivism means प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण पर निर्भर. प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण पर निर्भर को पॉजिटिविज्म बोलते हैं, पॉजिटिविस्ट कहते हैं. देन नेक्स्ट इज अनुमान प्रमाण. लॉजिकल मीन्स अनुमान प्रमाण. जैसे प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण के ऊपर और अनुमान प्रमाण के ऊपर निर्भर है, इसलिए लॉजिकल और पॉजिटिविस्ट है. दैट इज वाई मॉडर्न साइंस इज कॉल्ड लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविस्ट. न्याय लॉजिकल है या पॉजिटिविस्ट है? नेइदर. ये भी नहीं है, वो भी नहीं है. न्याय क्या कर रहा है? अनुमान क्या है, प्रत्यक्ष क्या है, यह प्रमाण बन सकते हैं क्या, इसके ऊपर चर्चा हो सकती है मीमांसा में या न्याय में या अपने दर्शनों में. प्रमाणों के ऊपर चर्चा हो सकती है, प्रमाणों का उपयोग नहीं हो रहा है उधर. प्रमाणों का उपयोग किधर होता है? वेदांत में हो सकता है, प्रमाणों का उपयोग हो सकता है, या प्रमाणों का उपयोग आयुर्वेद में हो सकता है, प्रमाणों का उपयोग नाट्य शास्त्र में हो सकता है. मगर प्रमाण क्या है, कौन सा प्रमाण किस प्रमाण से ज़्यादा बलवान है, इसके बारे में चर्चा तो मीमांसा या न्याय इस तरह के दर्शनों में होता है. सो we cannot compare न्याय with physics. Physics is an application of logical positivist procedures to physical world. Okay, but the procedures that are involved in arriving at physics conclusions are discussed in darshanas like Nyaya and Mimamsa. Okay, so that logical procedures, and that is inference procedures, and positivist, that is pratyaksha pramana procedures, anumana procedures and pratyaksha pramana procedures that are followed in physics are to be objective. They cannot be subjective, is the philosophy of physics. If you want to be a physicist, you cannot do anything about subjective aspects. But in psychology, you are supposed to handle such aspects also. Because psychology is all about mind only. Okay. So, there this problem you will have to handle, whether you can depend on subjective observations or objective observations. People said, though it talks about mind, we can talk about it only objectively. We can use objective procedures to talk about something involved in the subjective procedures. So, psychology is a complex, more complex situation where what is involved in the subjective observations, that is mind, is being studied through objective procedures. So, in the beginning, because they were coming from biology, they were doing such methods only. They were using objective methods, quantitative research methods, experimental methods, statistical procedures, mathematical procedures they were using for psychology, but later gradually they shifted to subjective methods also. But how can subjective methods be reliable? If subjective procedures are verifiable by other people, if subjective conclusions are given by a scientist, and then other people also say that, yeah, even I got that kind of experience, I agree with this, then it becomes objectively verifiable subjective observation. Okay. So, because we have arrived already at the 1:15 time where we have to conclude, let me only tell you that if you say that yoga anubhava or any other adhyatmika anubhava is subjective only, but if I can write, I can say that at this stage of yoga sadhana, if I see a certain color in my meditation, if I see a certain shape in my meditation, it means this. I write a, and somebody else reads that book and says, even I got such a observation in meditation, and if I can conclude all those things in a procedure, in a methodological procedure, that means that that book is giving objectively verifiable conclusions about subjective observations. You understand? So, if there is a book on yoga which is giving you objectively verifiable subjective conclusions, that book is also something like which are objectively very subjective. I wish I had time to dwell more on this with examples in our Shastras, but today, because we have arrived at the concludable time, I am concluding. But I think now you have enough vocabulary, inductive, deductive, everything, also from the Shastras, qualitative, quantitative, you understand. At least you can frighten people by phrase dropping. But while phrase dropping, this time you are not doing it foolishly, you are verifiable. When you use next time, no one can say that you are using those words wrongly, because you learnt this vocabulary from authoritative source, right? You can use them confidently in future whenever you use this vocabulary, and now you are inspired for your flash also. Why did you join MPhil course? Why did you join MPhil course? PhD course? Why did you join? You tell me. Why did you join? Why did you join? Why? Okay. So, all the PhD students, you stand up. All the PhD and MPhil students, all the research students, you stand up. Okay. Tell me, why did you join PhD or MPhil? For a flash and kick. When you get that flash, you send me an email immediately. WhatsApp immediately. Flash, sir! I'll be very happy. Okay? Flash. It come.
स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय